warlord, the former celestial dragon, the former king of Dressrosa, the main antagonist for Dressrosa, the longest arc in One Piece. I'm not gonna say his full name because you guys might laugh at me, but Don Quixote Doflamingo, yo, I can't say the first name, I'll be honest here. This man pushed Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy, the main character, to Gear 4th. Yo, I'm just saying right now, in my humble opinion, I'm gonna say Doflamingo is the greatest villain in One Piece, and I'm so hyped to see him back in the story. And I actually have a sort of a speculation, a theory on how he's gonna return to the story, which I will reveal later on in this video. But I just gotta say, since I said he's the greatest villain in One Piece, I gotta give you my reasons, and I can't just say out of nowhere a statement like that and don't give my reasons. Now, when it comes to villains or antagonists, whatever you guys want to use, Blackbeard and Akainu are most likely people that say, okay, these guys are the greatest villains in One Piece. And honestly, when it's all said and done, in the final moments of One Piece, I wouldn't be surprised if Blackbeard, my second favorite character, and Akainu are the greatest villains in One Piece by doing some crazy stuff. But when it comes to story arcs, and I'm telling you about story arcs, I mean like Alabasta is a story arc, Sky P is a story arc. As a main antagonist going against the Straw Hat Pirates and most of the Grand Fleet, Doflamingo, in my personal opinion, is the greatest villain in One Piece. And I think it just, the stuff he was doing, like just to name some stuff from the top of my head, Birdcage Awakening. I'm gonna go full in depth in this video, but that's just off the top of my head, yo. Some crazy stuff that Doflamingo did, and let's just talk more about how he is so epic and crazy. Now, the first time we actually see Doflamingo, you see him walking in that funny way. It was the warlord meeting. Beside him was Kuma, and I'll just say right now, the stuff he was doing was pretty sick, yo. He was playing around with vice admirals. Now, the vice admiral he was playing around with didn't seem that strong, but the vice admiral he was playing around with going against one of the other main vice admirals, I think his name was well, I forgot his name. I don't think it's Strawberry. I'm not too sure, but it was a main vice admiral from Marineford, the 5 main ones that were standing there. So I definitely feel like the fact that he was playing around with the vice admiral was very cool, and he was using some strange ability, the puppetry, and it took us 400 chapters later. This Delphi was the longest, because usually when a Delphi is revealed, it's revealed shortly after seeing the power, but we saw his power of his Delphi and then got revealed so long later, and that's the longest in the One Piece story, the string fruit. And we saw some cool foreshadowing moments where Suru was like, yo, cut it out, Doflamingo. We know Suru and Doflamingo have a long relationship going back in the days when Suru was chasing Doflamingo. And it's crazy because at that time, Luffy just got a 100 million berry bounty, and we were so hyped, yo, Luffy's in the 100 millions. That was crazy. And then we see a warlord who has a 300+ million berry bounty, and it's frozen. The fact that his bounty was frozen, and we know he was a warlord for like 10 years, so how much of his bounty should have been if it wasn't frozen? I'll be honest here, I wouldn't be surprised if Doflamingo's bounty was on the billion, yeah, on that Jack level hype. And that's just the respect I have for Doflamingo. Yo, I'm telling you guys right now, he was a monster, bruh. He was a monster. We also see a little small moment where he's shaming Bellamy. This is early on in the series. We don't really know a lot about Doflamingo, and he's just shaming Bellamy for losing to Luffy. And like, this is a new age, and I gave you my pirate flag and you lose? You're pathetic. And we know that's one of the main like start to Bellamy and Doflamingo's funny relationship, where Bellamy seemingly looks like the guy who just keeps on coming back for more in that abusive relationship. And honestly, there's also another moment where in Sabaody or Shabundi, I don't know how you guys pronounce it. You're watching the English dub and sub, yo, I got so confused. I just call it Sabaody, to be honest. This is how I call it. And in that arc, we see Doflamingo talk about smiles, this age of smiles, foreshadowing his dealings with the smile fruit. And we also see him talking about the greatest battle in One Piece. And it's funny because he actually names this battle the Royal Shichibukai versus the Whitebeard Pirates. And you could see that really it was actually the Marines and the Warlords versus the Whitebeard Pirates. But you know, as a warlord, he wanted to hype up his group. It was pretty funny. And he did say, Disco, yo, keep that auction, yo, that I don't really care about that. And Disco, man, he got the bad end of things. Disco, yo, RIP. Well, he's not really dead, but just still RIP. And I can go on and on of so much amazing moments in Marineford. Doflamingo, a lot of characters came out of Marineford looking a little bit different. We looked at him kind of weird, but Doflamingo was a character going into Marineford and leaving it. We looked at Doflamingo was badass and epic. He cut the leg of Oz Jr. He cut it off so cleanly. It was kind of funny because Oz Jr. is like, let me just take out at least one warlord, because he wanted to help out the Whitebeard. But out of nowhere, Doflamingo jumps up, flies in the air, and cuts his leg off with that crazy fruit power. And then we see a moment which is very controversial in the One Piece community, and I discussed this moment a couple of times in my How Strong videos, is when he's stopping Jozu. When Doflamingo stops Jozu, a lot of people are like, yo, Jozu's going up against admirals, he's fighting admirals, and Doflamingo just stopped him in his track when Jozu was about to whoop Crocodile's ass. So definitely a controversial moment. If I ever do a How Strong is Jozu moment, I'll give you my take on the situation, because I have a little different take than most the common fan base. But still, he still stopped Jozu, man. That was pretty crazy. You gotta get some respect for Doflamingo. And it's funny because the whole situation of Crocodile and Doflamingo, they went at it a couple times, and Crocodile hit him with the sandstorm after he stopped Jozu, and Crocodile took off, Doflamingo took off his head when he found out Crocodile was not helping out Doflamingo, and Doflamingo thought Crocodile was with Whitebeard. Crazy stuff there. But I do want to say this, Doflamingo, the reason why Crocodile was so offended by Doflamingo wanted Crocodile to be a top executive. And as we've seen with Doflamingo's pirate crew, the top executives are like his most top, strongest characters in his crew, but they're really not that strong when you look at the grand scheme of things. So Crocodile felt probably disrespected that Doflamingo wanted Crocodile to be an underling. And let's be honest here, in my personal opinion, Doflamingo is above Crocodile in strength right now. There's a gap for me. I see a gap in Doflamingo and Crocodile. Some people say they're equal. After seeing Dressrosa, and Crocodile did get taken out early in that whole situation in Alabasta, but still, Gear 4th Luffy. I have Gear 4th Luffy, Doflamingo, and the whole situation with Gear 4th Luffy versus Doflamingo, that clearly shows a gap between Crocodile and Doflamingo. Now, I do want to say another moment in which it's kind of cool is he's trolling Moria when he had the pacifistas with him and he's ordered to take out Moria, one of the warlords, and Moria's like, yo, who told you to take me out? Sengoku? And then he's like, nah, much higher. It was more badass in the Japanese sub, which I love that situation. But still, Marineford, he had a lot of multiple moments of Doflamingo showing his badassery, but still, there was one defining moment in Marineford that changed everything in the way I looked at this character. Oh my goodness. And that one defining moment in Marineford, I'm talking about his speech. Doflamingo has two main speeches in the One Piece story. Now, this story has been going on for a long time, over 779 episodes, over 800 chapters. This story has been going on for so long, and he has two great speeches in the story, and one of the great speeches, I probably put it in my top 5, maybe arguably number 1. I have a lot of great speeches in my top 5. I do have to make a video of 7 greatest speeches One Piece, because that'll be a pretty cool video. But let me talk about this speech. Pretty much he's saying this: pirates are evil, Marines are good. These terms pretty much have been changed throughout history. Kids who have never seen peace and kids who have never seen war are different. That's the cool stuff he says over there. The ones who rule are the ones at the top, right? Pretty much he says the ones who rule are the ones at the top, right? And now we are neutral. Justice will prevail? Question mark. Of course it will, because whoever wins becomes justice. And what he pretty much is saying is, when it comes to the pirate, evil, marine good scheme, if pirates were on the top of the world, they would make it seem like pirates are the good ones and the Marines are the enemy. And it showcased that the person who wins at justice is them. They control all that power. Now, I just want to say this. When he says kids who have never seen peace and kids who have never seen war, that's crazy. Because when you see Doflamingo's flashback, which I will talk about in this future of this video, that's a crazy statement right there. And when he says these terms have changed throughout history, the fact that he was a former Celestial Dragon, when we know the Void Century, I think Doflamingo 100% knows about the Void Century. We know he knows about the National Treasure, and Doflamingo is a very knowledgeable character. So it's just crazy how he talks about how these terms have been changed throughout the history, the Ancient Kingdom. Oh my goodness, that speech, in my personal opinion, it's so crazy, the stuff it foreshadows and how factual it is. Now, Doflamingo and that CP0 member, well, I'm not too sure if it is the CP0 member, but it's a guy who in a hat in which Doflamingo said, I could leave the warlord position anytime, when the guy in the CP0 hat looked like, I'm not too sure if he's CP0, I'm just assuming right now, it was like, yo, Doflamingo, why didn't you take out Moria? And Doflamingo was like, Moria disappeared right in front of my eyes. Now, we do know that it was kind of confirmed that Absalom, the guy who could turn invisible and turn other people invisible, saved Moria in that situation, and that's why Doflamingo was saying he disappeared in front of my eyes because of Absalom, which is very cool, as Oda brought Absalom back into that whole situation. Now, I definitely feel like this is really crazy. This moment where he's like, I can leave the warlord position anytime. The reason why it's crazy is because after the time skip, Doflamingo valued that warlord position so much. And I honestly believe the reason why he changed his mind about like, I can leave the warlord position any time, and now he's like, okay, now I gotta value that position, even trying to fool the whole world to think he left it, even though he didn't, was because of the Kaido dealings. At that time, Doflamingo was cocky. Like, he just recently was dealing with the smile stuff, and out of nowhere, post time skip, now he's dealing with Kaido, and he can't just mess with anything because Kaido is a bad man, yo, the strongest creature alive. And this shows you the difference in Doflamingo's mind, yo. And Law's whole plan was to get Kaido to take out Doflamingo. So it's just crazy stuff. Now, one cool thing I like seeing is early on in the One Piece story, there's a moment where they talk about how there's even people like pirates who try to infiltrate the Marines, to be undercover Marines. This was stated back all the way in the arc in which Morgan, Luffy, and Zoro first meet. It was a crazy early arc, and this was mentioned. And out of nowhere, you see in the Punk Hazard arc the foreshadowing, yo, Joker of the underworld. Which first I gotta talk about Joker. The fact that he leads all of the underworld and has that moniker Joker is so cool. And I also want to say this: the fact that he has an underling named Virgo, kind of his right hand man, who actually is infiltrating the Marines. Oh my goodness, yo, Doflamingo of all characters has a guy who infiltrated the Marines. Just adds all to that greatness. Now, a big thing I want to talk about is a couple things. Is Doflamingo wrecking Smoker. And if you guys want to know my opinion on the whole Doflamingo wrecking Smoker situation, this is how I see it, yo. Smoker, he wasn't really in the best of shape, but still, Doflamingo I see like Doflamingo and Smoker is not really comparable. Like, Doflamingo's on a different level, yo. What he did in Dressrosa to showcase how strong Doflamingo is, which I gotta make a video called How Strong is Doflamingo in the Future. But like, yeah, and anime gave justice. The anime tried to make Smoker look a little better, but in the manga, Doflamingo just one-shot Smoker easily, and then Aokiji comes and tells him to get off my friend, because you know Aokiji and Smoker have a good relationship, a friend relationship. And a lot of people were like, yo, Doflamingo ran away from Aokiji, he's a wimp, he knew that the admiral, he couldn't touch him. But the reason why I want to talk about this is because if you look at it, Doflamingo turns around after first of all, Aokiji says, get off my partner, get off my friend, and Doflamingo still attacks, and Aokiji freezes him, showcasing that Doflamingo still didn't care what Aokiji said. Then Doflamingo breaks out the ice and turns around, and there's a standoff, and Doflamingo's thinking, he wants to attack Aokiji, but he decides to leave. And that was a very cool situation, because if you think about it, pre-time skip, Doflamingo, I personally believe he would have fought Aokiji pre-time skip. But the fact that he had the whole situation of Law and Luffy and Kaido and like everything that was happening, he was smart enough to know that fighting Aokiji, a guy who fought Akainu, the fleet admiral, for 10 days would not even be smart. If Doflamingo had the chance to even beat Aokiji, how injured Doflamingo would have been and how many days it would have took, it would just be a stupid decision. And Doflamingo is a very smart man, as we've seen multiple times. So I feel like Doflamingo was a smart man in that situation. Now, I do think that I do personally have Aokiji as stronger than Doflamingo, but I don't think Doflamingo was scared to fight Aokiji. I think he was smart enough not to fight Aokiji. Now, Dressrosa, like I said, is the longest arc in One Piece, and what made me see him as the greatest villain in One Piece, which I said, and a lot of people know that's a controversial statement, he fooled the world into thinking, not just a couple people, he fooled the entire world into thinking that he quit the warlord position, and then to have CP0, that organization which the Celestial Dragons actually control, and we know how crazy CP9 was. Now think about CP0, have CP0 go all the way to Dressrosa to tell everybody that Doflamingo is still the king. Oh my goodness, yo. Doflamingo is a bad man. And we also have the situation of him actually getting Ace's Devil Fruit, which is a crazy task, and setting up a tourney in which Luffy, he knows the relationship between Ace and Luffy, and setting up a tourney to lure Luffy into that tournament. How smart of a man does Doflamingo have to be to do that? And also, we gotta understand that, how did he get Ace's Devil Fruit? Does he know that after a Devil Fruit user dies, you can, if you have a fruit next to him, maybe there's like a theory in which you have a fruit next to the Devil Fruit user that died, you can steal it? Who knows? But I definitely feel like that how he got Ace's Doflamingo is a big question mark I have, and setting up the tourney to get Luffy to lure into it is very smart. And Sanji versus Doflamingo, just playing around with Sanji, saying, yo, your kicks are pretty cool, your kicks are pretty hard, black leg Sanji, and then instantly taking out Sanji. Now, people do say that Sanji was a little bit injured because of the whole situation of him tanking attacks from Viola, and Viola is not really a pushover. She can give some kicks out, so the fact that Sanji took those kicks, he wasn't 100%. But think about it, Smoker got one-shotted by Doflamingo, Sanji, it wasn't really like, Sanji, yeah, he definitely would have got one taken out by Doflamingo with the ease. Smoker and Sanji are not on that level. Doflamingo is a bad man, like I said multiple times. Yeah, Doflamingo made Sanji look kind of soft there, but what is Doflamingo? Of all people, you should be like, okay, at least this guy, who made me look soft there. And then there's a whole statement of Fujitora being on Dressrosa and pretty much doing nothing to Doflamingo. People say, why didn't Fujitora take out Doflamingo and stuff like that? And people actually do debate who is stronger between Fujitora and Doflamingo. Now, I have Fujitora above Doflamingo, but I do see the respect in which, it's crazy. Doflamingo even planned to take out Fujitora after the whole situation. He planned to take out an admiral after the whole situation, knowing how much of a monster Fujitora is. Doflamingo is confident in his power and his strength, and it's crazy because now, did he want his whole crew, Doflamingo, his top executives, his other executives, to go against Fujitora? That would have been a different question mark, but still, you got to give some respect to Doflamingo for even saying that after this whole situation, he wanted to take out Fujitora. And then we have the birdcage, in which I don't want to talk about the birdcage for too long, but let me just say it right now. It's one of the craziest traps I have ever seen. Bruh, this birdcage is too much. And just to see it moving and breaking buildings, cutting buildings up, the notable strong characters that try to stop it. We had the armament hackied up of Fujitora, Zoro, Kiyomon, and Kanjuro, and a bunch of the people who are fighting. Like, it's just crazy how much people were trying to stop the birdcage. Just shows you the difficulty of that trap, and they still couldn't stop it until Doflamingo was actually taken out by the King Kong gun. Bruh. And his backstory, the backstory we got from Doflamingo, his time in Mary Joa, the Holy Land, where he was treated like he wasn't even human, and he was treated like he was on another level. And then we had his time as a kid in which he was tortured, and people saw him as a revenge for what the Celestial Dragons did. And it made us think back to Marineford's speech, where he says, kids who have never seen peace, and kids who have only seen peace, and kids who have never seen war look at the world differently. And Doflamingo has seen peace, and he's seen war, and he's seen so much crazy stuff, and it shows you why his mentality is so messed up. He killed his father at a young age. That takes a lot of cruelty. And then later on in his life, killing his own brother. Doflamingo is a savage. He's cut, like he's cutthroat. He's taking people out, man. It's crazy. You gotta look at him like, bruh, this guy is the definition of savage. And just in the fight versus Luffy and Law, and I could talk about Luffy and Law's versus Doflamingo fight for multiple moments. I can talk about it for a long time, but I just want to make it simple to say this right now. This guy was tanking attacks like crazy. They hit him with the Red Hawk. He tanked it. He got hit with an ejection shot. He tanked it. He got hit with the Gamma Knife, cutting up your organs, and he's able to stitch his organs back. Not heal his organs, stitch it back together. Stitches can get ripped back apart, so his organs were messed up, and it's just crazy thinking about it. And then we also have multiple Gear 4th attacks: Kong Gun, Rhino Schneider, Leo Bazooka, all these attacks that he was getting hit by Calverin, but it still did not take him out. And he was he got back up, and he was still walking using his awakening. Oh my goodness, King Kong Gun should have killed that man. All the attacks he had tanked, King Kong Gun should have killed that man, and he got taken out, but he still was alive. This guy's durability is through the roof. Like Michael Jordan recently said, the ceiling is the roof. Shout out to MJ. And the final thing I want to talk about when it comes to Doflamingo's character, before I talk about his return into the actual One Piece story, is the final speech we've seen Doflamingo say. And this speech, I think it's one of the greatest speeches also. His first speech is my more favorite one, but this speech recently is, it's amazing. Talking about how he controlled the monsters. If you think about it, Doflamingo actually had control. He had the reins over these monsters. And Sura asked him, what's gonna happen now? And Doflamingo's response is this: let me switch the question back on you, Suru. What's gonna happen when a bunch of monsters lose their food? The Yonko, the four emperors of the sea, the warlords who use their trickery, the worst generation, the young brats, the marines with their justice, and the revolutionaries going against it. We also have, and then he also brings up the D clan, which Doflamingo, I said right now, I think Doflamingo is knowledgeable of the Void Century, so he must know about the D clan who's chilling, and we know his fear for the D clan. Shout out to Law, yo. And we also shout out to Luffy, yo. He's a D, yo. Just shout out to every D out there, yo. But still, we also know that he says that celestial, in this speech, he says celestial dragons will be dragged off their porch, showing Christian that he thinks that, oh yeah, they're gonna be, yo, it's over, yo. It's over now that Doflamingo's out. And he says Goldie Roger 25 years ago was the Pirate King. And then he also mentions that Whitebeard sat in front of the throne, but the seat is empty now. Let me have a newspaper and impel down Suru. This man is so badass. And in the first translation, it was called the Throne Wars, which I love that. Even though the official translation does not call it the Throne Wars, I still gotta say, I don't give a crap, yo. The Throne War speech to me is so badass. It's just hyping up the future moves that are gonna happen in the new world. And it's crazy stuff for Luffy, who's going to become the Pirate King, yo. The obstacles that he's gonna have to face, the difficulties, oh my goodness. Monkey D. Luffy, you have a huge journey in the future that you must continue on. Now, the way I see Doflamingo actually returning into the story, a lot of people might disagree with this. This is just my theory, speculation, prediction. How I see him come back in the story is, I think he will be broken out of Impel Down or escape, one of the two. Now, if he is broken out, I think a character that will break him out is first of all, let me just talk about if he escapes. If Doflamingo escapes from Impel Down, I don't think he's gonna be like Crocodile, which Crocodile escaped and he was working with Luffy. He wasn't like allied with Luffy, but he was helping him out multiple times. Now, I don't think that's gonna be the situation. I think Doflamingo will still be against Luffy. And I remember when Monet said in Punk Hazard, Doflamingo is the man to become Pirate King. I think that Doflamingo is still gonna be causing savagery when he comes out, and that's gonna be the difference between him and Crocodile. Now, I think in the future, when it comes to if he actually is broken out, I think Blackbeard is the character that, because Blackbeard already did it last time, so if anyone's gonna break out someone in Impel Down, I think Blackbeard might go and break out at the Ophi and recruit him to join his crew. We know what he said to Ace, yo, join my crew, Ace. So Blackbeard knows that if he's a strong man, yo, join his crew like he did to all the level 6ers. Now, do I think what's gonna happen in the future when it comes to battles? I think there might be a situation if Doflamingo escapes, and if Crocodile gets much stronger than he was when we first saw him, which I do think he's going to get stronger, we might have a battle of former warlords where Doflamingo is on the side of the enemy and Crocodile's on the side of Luffy, and they go and fight. It will be crazy if that kind of happened, Crocodile versus Doflamingo, and we're going to be on the side of Crocodile because he's going to be helping out Luffy. That might happen, or we might see Sanji get his revenge. If Doflamingo gets recruited to Blackbeard's crew, we might see a situation where Sanji and Doflamingo fight an aerial battle. They call him the Heavenly Yakasha, so it would be crazy if Doflamingo, the guy did you see in that moment in the situation where Luffy went to the sky and Doflamingo said, are you dumb using aerial attacks against me? Doflamingo loves fighting in the sky, and we know Sanji also is able to fight in the sky, so I think Sanji, Doflamingo, there might be a future fight there, or he might fight Crocodile. I'm not too sure right now. It's just a theory, a speculation, but I do want to say this. I think Doflamingo is going to be crazy. Yeah, it's going to be very crazy if either of these things happen. I think if there was a fight with Sanji, Doflamingo, we're finally going to see those eyes under the sunglasses that we've been dying to see. You know how crazy it was when his glasses were broken, but we still didn't see his eyes? That was so annoying. But if we see his eyes in that fight against Sanji, you might see Sanji actually use a sword to combat his strings. Now, I can't wait to see what your guys' opinion on Doflamingo as a character and see your crazy